Hi Space Room friends, and welcome back. Today we are going to do a science experiment. We are going to do a science experiment using some pennies. Friends, which president is on the penny? It starts with the letter A. Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln is on the penny. And friends, how much is a penny worth? A penny is worth 1 cent. So a penny is worth 1 cent, and Abraham Lincoln is the president on the penny. All right, so before we get started with our experiment, I want to talk about what it means to think like a scientist. So we can all be scientists, and we can think like a scientist, especially when we are doing our experiments. So scientists use something called the scientific method. Say that with me, the scientific method. And these are steps that scientists take to make their experiments. All right, so there are 6 steps that we are going to do in order to conduct our experiment. So let's go over these steps. Number 1, first we ask a question. So what are we trying to learn? What are we trying to figure out? So first we ask a question. Number 2, we make a hypothesis. Say this word with me, hypothesis. Hypothesis is a big and fancy word. This means we just make a guess. We make a guess about what we think is going to happen in our experiment. Okay, so we use our brains and we think about what is going to happen in our experiment. Number 3, we do our experiment. Number 4, we observe. So we look and watch and wait and see what happens. So we observe by looking and seeing what is happening. Number 5, we analyze. Analyze means we think, we use our brains and we think really hard about why that happened. Whatever the results are of our experiment, we analyze and think about, why did that happen? And number 6, we share and discuss. So we talk to our friends and family, classmates and teachers about what happened, about what we saw, and about why that happened. Okay? So again, these are the steps in the scientific method. We ask our question, what's going to happen? We make a hypothesis, what we think is going to happen. We do our experiment. We observe, we look and see what the results are. We analyze, think about why we got those results. And then 6, we share and discuss. We talk about it. We talk about our experiment and what happened. All right, so these are the steps of the scientific method, and we are going to use them today with our experiment, all right? All right, friends, so here I have my materials for my experiment. This just means what I am using for my experiment. So I am using a clear cup of water. I am using an index card, just a little note card. And I have 3 pennies here. All right, so these are my materials for my experiment. So now I am going to do number 1 of the scientific method, and that is ask a question. So I'm going to ask my question. And my question is, if I stack this on top of the cup, if I put the note card on top of the cup, and then I stack my 3 pennies on top, I want to know what will happen when I flick this index card. So what will happen when I flick this index card? So that is our question. What will happen if we flick this index card? Number 2, let's make our hypothesis. So remember, that is just a guess. What is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen when I flick this card? So make your hypothesis. Guess what's going to happen. Do you think that the pennies are going to fly off? Do you think that the pennies will go into the cup? Do you think the index card will fall into the cup? So make your guess, make your hypothesis. What do you think is going to happen? Now, we will do number 3. We are going to conduct our experiment. So we are going to do our experiment. So again, I have my cup, I have my note card, and I have 3 pennies stacked on top. I'm going to flick this card and we are going to watch and see what happens. Ready? So friends, now we observe. We see what happened. So what happened, friends? The pennies fell into the cup of water and our index card flew away. So now that we observed, we saw what happened. We saw that the pennies fell into the cup. Now we are going to analyze. We are going to think about why this happened. Why did those pennies fall into the cup of water? So what I think happened is I had my card and I had the pennies on top. And when I flicked the card, I was applying force to it. Remember, force makes objects move. It causes motion, which means movement. So I applied force to the card by flicking it and it flew away. But the pennies, they just dropped because they no longer had the card to sit on. So they fell into the water. So no force was applied to those pennies, but force was applied to the card. So the pennies fell into the cup of water. So we just analyzed, we thought about why this happened. So now you can talk to your friends and family about it and try to do this experiment at home and see what happens. All right? Have fun, friends, and I will see you soon. Love you.